Hey everybody, it's your girl Nail XJW. Welcome to the Blue Lotus Awakening channel. We want to help everyone that's in the process of opening up their petals and awakening towards the sun and finding release, comfort, friendship, and support in leaving the Jehovah's Witnesses organization. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Blue Lotus Awakening channel. Listen, it is Tuesday, November the 5th, 2024. Oh my God, it's election day in America. Who out there is just really, really happy that this day is finally here? It's like a long lost friend. It's like a birthday celebration. Oh my God, it's like, let's get this done. Let's get this done and let's get this over with. Let's go ahead and elect Kamala Harris to the highest position in the land because you and I both know she is the best qualified for the position. All right. All right. But listen, let me tell you something. As a former Jehovah's Witness, I did not start voting until 2000. And it was based on a question from the readers, articles that appeared in the Watchtower. And I read it and it spoke to me. And at the time we were going through, it was the election cycle of Al Gore and George W. Bush. And I felt it was imperative that we keep the policies or continue the policies that the Democratic Party had established, and I liked the policies that Al Gore wanted to implement. And so, as an independent, that was the first time I ever voted. Was in the 2000 elections, and I voted as an independent. But I liked Al Gore. I do not like Republican policies. At one point in time, when I lived in Michigan, we went from a Democratic administration. We went from being a blue state to being a red state, and all chaos ensued. Okay, true story. All chaos ensued when we went red. So I knew that I did not want to vote for a Republican. I wanted to vote for a Democrat. And that's what I did. When I read the article that came out in I believe it was the question from readers, Watchtower 99, I knew that I was going to make that decision to go ahead and vote. Now, you may be asking or wondering, Neil, what was it in the question from readers that you saw that spoke to you and said that you, that made you feel as if you had to go ahead and do the damn thing and vote? All right, well, let me take you over to the JW Library and head to the JW Library. Go to Watchtower 99, November 1, pages 28 and 29, question from readers. The question is, how do Jehovah's Witnesses view voting? And in those 2 pages, I believe there are like 5 different paragraphs, 5 or 6 different paragraphs or so, maybe more. But it really gave me it made me see that perhaps I could vote and do so without people looking at me crazy. You know what I'm saying? Now, let me just tell you this part though. When I did vote in 2000, I was nervous. I was scared. I told my husband, I said, "Hey, honey, I'm planning to vote." Well, he was like, "Well, I read the same article, but I'm planning to abstain." But I was like, "I want to go ahead and do this." And he was like, "Well, be careful because our voting poll, our center is right in the area where a lot of our friends or Jehovah Witness congregation members live in that area. So be very careful. And I was very nervous about doing so. I parked at the other end of the parking lot. I went in nondescript. I tried to be as incognito as possible. I was scared because I was like, oh my God, what if somebody drive by and see me, or somebody drive by and see my van? Oh my God, I hope no one sees me. But I did it. I was just so excited to do this. Now, as I said, you can look up this information on jw.org, and you have to go to the JW library. Now, the questions from readers 1999, this was released November 1st. November 1, 1999. So this was like right on time for me, because I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to vote, right? Now, listen, the first paragraph says, the question is, how do Jehovah's Witnesses view voting? First, it says, the first paragraph reads, quote, there are clear principles set out in the Bible that enable servants of God to take a proper view of this matter. However, there appears to be no principle against the practice of voting itself. For example, there is no reason why a board of directors should not take a vote in order to arrive at decisions affecting their corporations. Congregations of Jehovah's Witnesses often make decisions about meeting times and the use of congregation funds by voting with a show of hands. What though of voting in political elections? All right, now you see how the first paragraph was outlined. It says there are clear principles set out in the Bible that enable servants of God to take a proper view of this matter. Let's be clear. No, there is not. There are no clear principles set out in the Bible that will let you know or guide you on the issue of voting. Period. There are not. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses in this particular article are going to outline some things that Jesus said and that the apostles said and all of that, but we'll get to that part in a second. However, there are no clear principles set out in the Bible. The Society of Jehovah's Witnesses want the layman Jehovah's Witnesses to believe that. However, what happens next when they said that there's no principle against the practice of voting itself? The second sentence. See, the first sentence says there are clear principles set out in the Bible that enable servants of God to take a proper view of this matter. What view are we talking about? How do Jehovah's Witnesses view voting, which is the question. Then the next sentence says, however, there appears to be no principle against the practice of voting itself. So right there and then, in this second sentence of the first paragraph of this article, okay, Jehovah's Witnesses are telling you straight out, there is no Bible-based principle against the practice of voting itself. Okay, now that we know this, Jehovah's Witnesses go into this brainwashing mode where they begin to tell you how they feel. Then they interject how Jesus and the apostles may have felt. They assume, and then based on these assumptions, then they come up with the idea that Jehovah's Witnesses should be neutral in all things politics. All right? Now, let's head down to the second paragraph, which was very important to me, which had me critically thinking about what I wanted to do in the 2000 election. I'm going to read it for you. It says, quote, what though of voting in political elections? Of course, in some democratic lands, as many as 50% of the population do not turn out to vote on election day. Sidebar for me. What in the world does that have to do with anything? Back to the paragraph. As for Jehovah's Witnesses, they do not interfere with the right of others to vote. Neither do they in any way campaign against political elections. They respect and cooperate with the authorities who are duly elected in such elections. As to whether they will personally vote for someone running in an election, each one of Jehovah's Witnesses make a decision based on his Bible-trained conscience and an understanding of his responsibility to God and the state. In making this personal decision, the witnesses consider a number of factors. All right, now this is the paragraph where me, Nell, a critical thinker, and I've been critically thinking for a very long time. This was a paragraph that cemented my beginning of, or the big beginnings of me saying, I'm going to go ahead and become a registered voter. Now, when it says that Jehovah's Witnesses do not interfere with the right of others to vote, that is a lie. Jehovah's Witnesses do interfere. They interfere with the right of their members to vote. In a recent update on JW Broadcasting, I believe it was Jeffrey Jackson mentioned to the 8 million Jehovah's Witnesses around the world, particularly those here in the United States, that we as Jehovah's Witnesses are not to vote in this upcoming election. That was a mandate that came out from the governing body. So this particular quote, or this particular sentence in this paragraph, that Jehovah's Witnesses do not interfere with the right of others to vote, that is a flat out lie. Okay. Now, the sentence in this paragraph that basically had me thinking and deciding, making the decision to become a registered voter is this one. As to whether, quote, as to whether they will personally vote for someone running in an election, each one of Jehovah's Witnesses makes a decision based on his Bible-trained conscience and an understanding of his responsibility to God and to the state. Okay? And it was right there where I said, okay, I want to do this, and I'm going to go ahead and do this. Because it says your Jehovah's Witness make a decision to vote based on their Bible-trained conscience and an understanding of their responsibility to God and to the state. And so that's why I made a Bible-trained conscious decision to vote. All right. Now, this article also goes in to lay out some of the principles that Jehovah's Witnesses take from the Bible or from the New Testament, and then, turn it around, screw it all up, and then spit it back out to layman Jehovah's Witnesses to get them to not vote, okay? To, and otherwise interfere with the right of others to vote. All right, so they bring out the scripture at John 17:14, where Jesus said, I have given your word to them, but the world has hated them because they are no part of the world, just as I am no part of the world. Okay, that paragraph said Jehovah's Witnesses, quote, Jehovah's Witnesses take this principle seriously. Being no part of the world, they are neutral in political affairs of the world. Okay. So this right here, this interpretation of this scripture is very, very invalid, because if you are no part of the world, there is no way that you as an American citizen, there's no way that you are not a part of this world, because every activity that you are involved in has something to do with how this country is operated. Okay, how your city operates, how your state operates. You are definitely part of this world. All right. Now, you may not be a part of different religious institutions of this world, but you are definitely a part of this world, and you utilize the tools and the machinations of this world. You use them to survive. So using this scripture at John 17:14 is irrelevant to me. Okay. And it makes no sense to also say, well, because Jesus said we are no part of the world, then we're going to be neutral in political affairs. Both of those things actually makes no sense. Then they go to the scriptures at Ephesians 6:20, where the Apostle Paul says that, and I'll read that to you, Ephesians 6:20 from the Jehovah Witness Bible, the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures Study Edition. Verse 20, for which I am acting as an ambassador in chains, that I may speak about it with boldness as I ought to speak. Paul is talking about speaking about speaking about Christianity as it was forming in the first century. He says that he is acting as an ambassador in chains. Now, what Jehovah's Witnesses like to say, and that's what this paragraph 4 brings out, is that Jehovah's Witnesses like to say that they are ambassadors too, that they are ambassadors for Jesus Christ's kingdom, for the heavenly kingdom and that as ambassadors have to remain neutral and not interfere in the internal affairs of the countries to which they are sent. Quote. All right. So Jehovah's Witnesses feel that they are ambassadors and that they are neutral when it comes to political affairs. Now let's talk about this ambassador, the role of an ambassador. Let's talk about that real quick. An ambassador, and we have several ambassadors, of course, here in the United States. We have an ambassador from Jamaica. We have an ambassador from where? From Australia. We have lots of ambassadors here. And yes, as an ambassador, no, you do not interfere with the politics or the policies that are being enacted in the country in which you are an ambassador. 2, you do not involve yourself in those matters. You cannot vote. So let's say I was the ambassador to I am a U.S. citizen, and let's say I'm an ambassador to Jamaica. Okay. And I am at the embassy in Jamaica. Now, do I have, can I vote? No, I cannot, because I am not a Jamaican citizen. However, I can have opinions about how things are ran, because that's what ambassadors do. Ambassadors have opinions, and they help they send these opinions and different things, what's going on with it in the country that they are in as an ambassador. They send those things back to Washington, D.C. to let, the people, the officials in Washington know what's going on here in Jamaica. Okay, if I am the ambassador of Jamaica, ambassador for Jamaica from the United States. I'm ambassador from the United States, and I'm in the country of not Haiti, of Jamaica. Now, here's the thing, though. Am I using the water services in Jamaica at the U.S. Embassy? Yes, I am. Am I buying food and things of that nature from the local Jamaican market? Yes, I am. Am I utilizing utilities like electricity, gas? Yes, I am. What are some of the other things? My daily needs are really catered to by the citizens of Jamaica. And yes, the monies from the United States covers those things. Okay. So even though I am not a part of the Jamaican system or the Jamaican government, I am not Jamaican, I am still utilizing those services, and I have to pay for those things as a U.S. citizen, being that I am an ambassador from the United States in Jamaica, living and working in Jamaica. I still have things that I have to do. However, do I have an interest in how things are going in Jamaica as an ambassador from the United States? Yes, I do. Do I have a say? No, not technically, but I can report things back to Washington, D.C., and let them know what my opinions are about how things are being ran in Jamaica. That's what an ambassador is. Am I neutral? I can't vote, but I'm not neutral. I have a vested interest in what's happening in Jamaica. So the way Jehovah's Witnesses are wording this neutrality thing, it can become using neutrality and the word ambassador and saying that we're ambassadors for Christ or we're ambassadors for God's kingdom. It's kind of, it's kind of, like I said, it's like warped and screwed thinking. And you have to be a real critical thinker and sit down and tear these words apart and find out what their actual meanings are so that you can be able to make a good decision, a conscience-based decision, or as Jehovah's Witnesses like to say, a Bible-based conscious decision about what you should do. Okay. Now, let's go into a third factor that Jehovah's Witnesses in this article want Jehovah's Witnesses to consider before they go to the voting booth. Okay, now this part I thought was really interesting. Quote, a third factor to consider is that those who have a part in voting a person into office may become responsible for what he does. And then they have the scripture here at 1 Timothy 5:22 that says, never lay your hands hastily on any man, neither become a sharer in the sins of others, keep yourself chaste. And that was according to the New English Bible. And then back to the paragraph, quote, Christians have to consider carefully whether they want to shoulder that responsibility. All right. So let's do this here. Hello. This is a complete falsehood. Just because I voted Bill Clinton, or I didn't vote Bill Clinton, just because people voted Bill Clinton into office back in the 90s did not mean that they became a sharer in the deeds that he became involved in while he was in office. Okay, we are not responsible for what Bill Clinton did with Monica Lewinsky when he was in the White House. We have no responsibility for that. So what Jehovah's Witnesses have said in this paragraph is a fallacy. Another thing, as far as voting, let's bring it up to right now, the 21st century, 2024. I voted for Kamala Harris. Okay. I am not responsible for what she does when she gets in office. Now, here's the deal on politics and voting and electing an official to an office. The official is there to do a job for me. Okay, they're there to do the job for me. However, as they are doing that job, they may make decisions that I do not agree with. Am I responsible for their decision? I'm not responsible for their decision. I can voice my opinion about it and say, hey, Madam President, I do not agree with this specific policy. Can you please explain why you feel that this policy is necessary for the American people? How is it necessary for us? That is what you can do. But we cannot be held responsible for all the actions that politicians make once they get into office. We just cannot be. We have to hold them accountable, yes, but I cannot be responsible for what they do once they get into office. That's not exactly how politics works. And Jehovah's Witnesses know that. And then here we go to one of the number one issue, and the reason why Jehovah's Witnesses claim they do not vote, or at least they don't want their layman Jehovah's Witnesses to vote. And the fourth reason principle that Jehovah's Witnesses give in this Questions from Readers, Watchtower 99, November 1, pages 28 and 29, I will read it to you. Quote, fourth, Jehovah's Witnesses greatly value their Christian unity. They have a scripture here at Colossians 3:14, which reads, but besides all these things, clothe yourselves with love, for it is a perfect bond of union. Back to paragraph. Quote, when religions get involved in politics, the result is often division among their members. In imitation of Jesus Christ, Jehovah's Witnesses avoid becoming involved in politics and thus maintain their Christian unity. Now, here's the thing with this paragraph, and that's something that Jeffrey Jackson talked about in that update on JW Broadcasting about why Jehovah's Witnesses have been mandated not to vote in this election. It's the whole unity part, and that Jehovah's Witnesses don't want to have a division within the organization among its members about who they're voting for. All right. Now, here is the thing on that. Could it be that the division that Jehovah's Witnesses would have would showcase who they really are? In 2024, we have two candidates. We have Kamala Harris and we have Donald Trump. Could there be congregations of Jehovah's Witnesses right now who would, if they could, cast a ballot for Donald J. Trump? Indeed, most definitely. And what does that say? That says that there is racism in the Jehovah's Witnesses organization. And it is very evident if you look at the governing body, there's only one black man on the governing body. And in its 100 history, I believe that one black man, Samuel Hurd, has been on the governing body for maybe, I want to say 20 years, I think, or less. So just think, you have 100 plus years of Jehovah's Witnesses, and the first time that they elect a black person to the governing body is in the 2000s. Think about it. That's racism. That's racism. So the reason why Jehovah's Witnesses so-called value their Christian unity is because there is rampant racism in the organization. Just think right now, if one of Jehovah's Witnesses came to the Kingdom Hall with "I support VP Harris" or "vote for Kamala," what would be the reaction for some of the white members of the organization, of the congregation? Okay, then you will find out truly who is who in the congregation. I remember when Obama was running for president, and I remember what the white members of the congregation that I attended down here in Florida, I remember the things that they were saying about it. There was one elder in our congregation who was our Bible study conductor. He said to me and my husband that if Obama was elected to the office of president, then it would be the end of the world. Armageddon, the Great Tribulation would start, and then Armageddon would be right behind it. And so I asked him, I said, "Brother so-and-so, is that because he's a black man?" And he says, well. And I just remember thinking, besides the fact that I had already voted for Barack Obama, I just remember thinking, you are a racist ass. Why would the end of the world happen because Barack Obama is elected to office? That shows me that you are a racist. You are an elder in the congregation. You're supposed to be a shepherd. You're supposed to be a leader, okay? And you have racist tendencies. So that so-called new personality that you're supposed to be putting on or actively wearing, that's not how you really feel. So with that statement that he made about Barack Obama, I immediately took note of that. because that means that in your dealings with me and my family, that you're going to have your viewpoints and the way that you deal with us is going to be skewed because you do not see us as equals to you. You don't see my family as an equal to yours. You know, so when Jehovah's Witnesses do this Christian unity, and when they say, you know, we don't get involved in politics because it could cause division among our members, and we want to keep control of our members. We want to tell our members what to think and how to feel. Okay, it has nothing to do with being neutral, and it has everything to do with we don't want to show, or we don't want a mirror to be placed in the middle of our congregations so that people can, so that the truth about how people really feel about one another comes out. Because there are so many churches all over the country, okay, that have different views on who they want to select in this election today. But is that going to destroy the church congregation? No, it's not. Some churches are going to feel, some congregants are going to feel that, you know, VP Harris is the best bet. And there are going to be others that feel like Donald Trump has their best interests in mind. And no matter how ridiculous that may be to me, the point of the matter is that we all have to learn how to get along with each other. That is the main idea. We have to all learn how to get along with each other, minus how we may feel personally about politics. But Jehovah's Witnesses' entire stance on voting, it's really about a control issue. Okay, as this article continues, it goes down into what will happen if you are in a country where you have to, well, voting is a must. What should you do? Okay, and Jehovah's Witnesses' view in 1999, late 1999, was that if you have to do so, then you have to do so, which is a different spin from what Jehovah's Witnesses believed in the 70s, that if voting was a compulsory situation, that you as a Jehovah's Witness was still supposed to refuse to vote and then be persecuted, jailed, tortured, or whatever happens in countries where, you know, there are religious dissonance. So back in the 70s and 80s, Jehovah's Witnesses believed that, hey, if you were in a place where they told you that voting was a must, this is what you're supposed to do, you better get out and do it. Oh, don't do it. Go to jail, die, get beat, tortured, lose your employment and your home for us. And so many Jehovah's Witnesses did just that. I'm going to relate a country for you. How, let's say Malawi. Maybe I'll do a video about that. So in 1999, compared to what was going on, what happened back in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s, Jehovah's Witnesses felt that, hey, if you're in a situation where voting is compulsory, then it's up to you to make as the paragraph says, each witness is responsible to make a conscientious, Bible-based decision about how to handle the situation. Okay, if someone decides to go to the polling booth, that is his decision. What he does in a polling booth is between him and his creator. Okay, so the article continues. They gave a situation about what if a Jehovah's Witness woman is married to a husband that's not a Jehovah's Witness, and he wants her to go to the voting booth. What should she do? Okay, that paragraph said, well, since she is under the headship of her husband, then she is to go ahead and do what he requests. As the paragraph says, quote, if she obeys her husband and goes to the polling booth, that is her personal decision. No one should criticize her. This is so, I mean, this is some ridiculousness for you, and this was the article that I did some real serious critical thinking on, and I decided that I will go ahead and vote. And this was also part of the cracks that I was slowly going through that led me to eventually leaving the organization as a whole. 14 years later, I would eventually break off from the organization, period. But this was one of the tiny cracks and hurdles that I went through when I registered to vote. That was one of the signs that I used for myself to say that I no longer want to be a part of this organization. Even though I was still physically very active, at home behind closed doors, I was anything but. I was already heading straight out the door. So today we have a really heavy decision to make. I've already voted. I encourage my children to vote. My daughters are registered voters. My sons are not. I have a son that's an active Jehovah's Witness. I have a son that's an inactive Jehovah's Witness, but is thinking about coming back. So my husband, he knows that I vote, and he knows that my daughters vote, and he has decided that he's not going to vote because, the brainwashing is very deep on that with not voting and being neutral. However, the thing that Jehovah's Witnesses always trip up on is being neutral, being so-called ambassadors, but still receiving the benefits of the local, state, and federal government. When here in Florida, we had Hurricane Helene and then Hurricane Milton, when my husband looked at his phone and his email, he received texts from his group overseer that was letting him know that if we experienced any type of flooding, power outage, all of those things, all we had to do was apply to FEMA to be able to get EBT or food benefits, and to be able to get some type of benefits for having our power out and flooding and all the things. And this group overseer, as probably Jehovah's Witnesses across Florida did, sent everyone text messages and links to governmental organizations that would be able to help them out if they were in need. But as I said before in another video, all of these governmental organizations that Jehovah's Witnesses love to take advantage of, how did these organizations get put in place? How do these agencies operate? Well, you have to vote these officials in. You have to vote in elected officials to do the job of the people and for the people. So when Jehovah's Witnesses here in Florida who suffered from both Helene and Milton, when they went and cashed that check from FEMA and received the food benefits on their EBT card, how can anyone say that you should not vote when you are benefiting from the act of voting itself? It's the hypocrisy for me. It really is. It's the hypocrisy for me. Jehovah's Witnesses, the organization, the governing body, telling the layman Jehovah's Witnesses, oh, no, we don't want you to vote. But I would not be surprised if the members of the governing body are not active or registered voters. I would not be surprised if the governing body had not given money to different campaigns. Because remember, Jehovah's Witnesses is not just a religion, but they're also a business. They are a corporate, they are a Fortune 500 corporation. Okay. They are involved in trading. They have so many companies and corporations under the Watchtower Corporation. They have so many Jehovah's Witnesses the layman Jehovah's Witness knows nothing about. I bet you right now Jehovah's Witnesses do not know that their organization was a part of the UN for a long time, until it was revealed that they were a part of the United Nations or the UN. We do not know the machinations of what is really going on in this organization. We have no idea. Layman Jehovah's Witnesses have no idea. But because they go to a regular brainwashing session called their local Kingdom Hall meetings every week, they are constantly in the act of being brainwashed to not critically think. I mean, if you are receiving federal money to keep yourself going, to keep yourself alive, if you are receiving Social Security benefits, if you receive Medicaid, you receive Medicare, all of these things, okay, affect you every single day. So how can you not have a vested interest in who is running your state, who will be running this country? Jehovah's Witnesses do not have a Social Security program. Jehovah's Witnesses don't have a workers' compensation program. Jehovah's Witnesses do not have an unemployment compensation program. Jehovah's Witnesses do not have a food bank. They do not operate food banks around their cities of where their congregations are. They don't have food banks. There's not a Salvation Army for Jehovah's Witnesses, a Jehovah's Witness Salvation Army. No, it's not a Kingdom Hall, a thrift store. There is not. And they would like to say, well, we know, when disasters happen, we take your little contributions and we go and we do this and that and the other, which is a flat out lie. They take your contributions, Jehovah's Witnesses, and they build things with it, and they pay people salaries. Is what they're doing. Okay. They get grants from the governments. They get millions upon millions of dollars from the United States government. And that is where the monies go when it comes to that's where the monies come from when it comes down to relief efforts around the world. Okay, in this country and in other countries, it comes from the tax dollars of the citizens of that country. It doesn't come, that money that Jehovah's Witnesses like to say, oh, when there's a disaster, we're there. It doesn't come from you. The money that comes from you goes to building kingdom halls. Well, they don't even really build kingdom halls anymore, do they? But building these elaborate branch offices and movie production studios. That's where your money goes to. It goes to supporting Samuel Hurd in his old age and all the older members that's on the governing body and who make up the executive staff of Jehovah's Witness or the Watchtower organization. That's where all your contributions go to. It go to propping up all the people that you saw at the annual meeting. All of those board members, that's where all that money that you send in goes to. Okay? Because if Jehovah's Witnesses was really concerned about your contributions, and was really propped up by you, and it's by you, the layman Jehovah's Witness, then they wouldn't have had to write a letter to the country of Norway, begging the Norwegian officials to put them register them back as a religious entity, so that they could continue to receive the monies that Norway gives to religious organizations and tax breaks. All right, so I just laid down a lot of information to those of you who are not, who are curious, who are doubting, who may be just a layman's Jehovah's Witness that happened upon this channel. Here's the thing. Do not drop down in the comments and say, oh, that's not true. Our monies go here and there. You have no idea where your money goes. They tell you that it goes to here and to there, but not really. Not really. Not at all. You don't know. You don't know. You have no idea how many corporations Watchtower has. You don't know. And for some of you out there, you don't want to know, because you are content to allow other people to control your thinking. So thank you so much for listening to this podcast today. I really appreciate all of your comments. Please do not forget to like and to subscribe to the channel. We have a challenge this month. Our challenge is to reach over 1,000 subscribers. So we need your help here. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I will talk to you later. I will have links featured in this video. Thank you. Bye-bye.